Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us again for another Australian Football Services podcast. My name's Anel Cupwood, and I'm joined once again by Omer and our guest today is Robbie Wielaert. Robbie is a former professional footballer with many years' experience playing in the Dutch Eredivisie, notably with PSV, Ajax, and FC Twente, as well as NEC and Roda JC. He then proceeded to join Melbourne City before retiring, and now he is the current under-16s head coach at Melbourne City FC. Robbie, thank you very much for your time today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Robbie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history in football, please?
I think you said most of it in your intro. I was a professional player for 20 years. Like you said, 18 years in the Netherlands. And then I thought I want to play abroad, and why not go to the other side of the world? So played 1 year for Melbourne Heart and 1 year for Melbourne City, and then like you said, retired. Had a sabbatical for a year before I picked up my second career, and that's hopefully in the coaching. So that's about it. Like if not sure what you want to know more. Maybe my interest outside soccer, or I'm married, have a wife, 2 kids. Like my wine, like my golf. And like to create memories with friends and family. That's about it.
Beautiful.
Nice. Robbie, you mentioned, you are coaching at the moment. And when did you exactly start coaching? And what was your experiences and the experience that you've gained from coaching so far?
During my active career, I always, a couple times a year, you take sessions from youth teams and stuff like that. But so after my career ended, to be honest, I took a sabbatical just after 20 years of living soccer, breathing soccer, really felt like, I have to step away from it, to question everything I learned, to enjoy some time with the family. But after that, I slowly got back into it. First, a friend of mine introduced me to Football Star Academy to just do some sessions with some elite players, have some fun with the boys. Then I did some coaching at a school, also through a friend. But then I thought I had to take it a little bit more seriously, so I did the C license. And then again, through a friend, I joined the Box Hill United, just an amateur club here. To get back into it and really build the second career up from the bottom. I didn't want to join or didn't want to go back to the Netherlands, and because I was a professional soccer player, get a gig at a professional team, I thought I want to build up from the bottom. And at Box Hill, I got a lot of freedom to do my own thing. And after 1.5 years doing that, Melbourne City approached me and asked me if I could join the academy, and again, slowly building my second career.
Nice, wonderful. Nice. Robbie, what coaching licenses do you hold at the moment, and are you planning on continuing your coaching education?
Yeah, I have the C license. I'm almost finished the B license, and then I'm going to do the A license. And hopefully the pro license, because that's worldwide, even if you do it in Australia. But the way I look at it, it's more like a driving license. You have to do it, but in the end, it's just a paper. And again, I take it slowly. But I'm happy to do it now in Australia.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Nice. Robbie, for our viewers, what sort of a league structure does the under-16s Melbourne City play in?
Yeah, this was the first year they did a bit of a different approach, I think. So basically they split Melbourne in 4 zones, the north, east, west, south. And then I think each zone had 10 teams, and they played each other once. And then the top 3, of course, with Corona, everything stopped, but the top 3 would play against all the top 3s from all the zones, and then the second 3. So, I think it was a pretty good system. but again, like the Corona came and then everything stopped. But I think it was a good idea.
Nice.
We've got, I coach at an NPL club here in Sydney, and we've had a very similar setup as well. They've split after the initial 12 or so rounds. We've had the preliminaries, and because there's quite a few teams around these areas as well. So you've got North Central, West Central, East Central, and it's great to have the kids continuing to play. But I mean, at the same time, you slowly find that you're starting to run out of teams that you can play against, because there's only so many teams clustered into one zone before you start going over the games again. But it's still, as you said, it's a great system to have kids continue playing.
Yeah, you don't want to, especially if you're developing talent, like you don't want to win all your games. You don't want to lose all your games. If you can get that mix right, it will benefit everyone, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't come across anyone that wants to lose a game, like you said, Robbie. I think that would be worrying as a coach.
It's also not good if you win 100 out of 100 games. That's not good for your development.
That's right.
I'm a big believer that you learn from mistakes and from trying. And again, I think it's ideal if you get 60 or 70% wins and a couple losses. But build some character also. Yeah.
As the Aussies say, Robbie, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So, Robbie, in terms of the 16s that you're coaching at the moment, have you had any talented youngsters make the step up to reserve grade or even featured in the first grade at all?
To start with, what is talent? That's, for me, especially at this age, teenagers, everybody develops differently. I think that's hard to say, but we have a couple, of course, very talented players, and some play in the national team or got invited for the national team. But again, it's still early days. But yeah, there's a lot of talent, I believe, in Australia. So yeah, that's nothing. It's the same at City. A lot of talent, but still a long way to go for 16, 15-year-olds.
Yeah, just touching base on that, Robbie. So you mentioned that there are players that play the age group above, so reserve grade and whatnot. Does that also go for the 13s, the 14s playing in the under 16s?
Yeah, I have a couple 06s and maybe even 07 in my team.
Yeah.
And I have a couple 05s that play on the 20s, or at least train with the under 20s. I think it's very important when you, especially in the youth system, that you really look at an individual, look almost at their biological age and pick the right environment for them to develop. So again, yeah, that's, I think, is very important. So I like to look more at the biological age than like a birthday. I think that's very important.
I think, Robbie, like you've also mentioned that for development, it's very important. And the previous coaches that we've had on our podcast, they've also touched base on how, in Australia, the youth system they don't play as much games here compared to Europe, where they're playing 50, 60 games a season. So like you said, it's at least important that they play, they use that talent, like you said, at the age groups above, to make them physically stronger and faster in the game as well.
Yeah, and also with those games, I think it's almost a little bit of an excuse that, because you can still organize games here during the week. You can even play 15s against 16s, or a combination of 15s and 16s, and play a game. So again, I almost feel that I'm more positive than the Australians about the Australian talent and culture and stuff. And I'm always looking at the positives, and instead of complaining, how can I do the most to get out of the players?
Sure.
Robbie, with the City group, we all know that their reach for talent is quite large. They've obviously got vast resources, and that's wonderful. But in terms of Melbourne City itself, what is the approach for finding talented youngsters. Does the club look specifically for the Melbourne area, or do they look all over Australia and look to bring talent into the youth setup, or do they have a specific program to reach out to local kids?
Yeah, they have the football schools where, of course, everybody can enter. So again, that's a good thing to look at the talent even younger than 12. There's not really a talent or a scouting team. We got one scout at City, but he's mostly involved with the first team. We have some trial days, of course. Again, so it's not like in Europe, but I think touching on that, I think the main problem, if you can talk about problems, is that you pay too much money to play soccer in Australia. So I think you miss a lot of talent because the family doesn't have the money to register him for a team or to go to the Melbourne City playing school or whatever. Like, I think that's the big problem.
So you mentioned, I mean, just going back to what you were saying about comparisons between Europe, that's honestly, it's something that we constantly hear about. And both Omer and myself are from European heritage, and we've both had experiences playing against European clubs with our juniors that we've taken overseas. And one of the things that we always have in conversation is the overseas coaches and management are always so surprised at how expensive it is to play football in Australia, especially if you've got more than 2-3 kids that have talent and the parents want to nurture and want to invest. It just becomes downright insane in terms of the money that has to be invested into those kids. Do you feel like this is one of the major sort of hindrances for Australian football?
Yeah, I think so, because you just miss out on a lot of players. In my opinion, and like I'm very spoiled within the Netherlands, you don't have to have a lot of money and you can still go to a good school. You still have a good health system and you can play sports. You can choose, you don't need a lot of money to do that. Soccer is very expensive if you compare it with, I think, most of all the other sports in Australia. So then again, you miss out on a lot of the pool you have to choose from is smaller. So that's the waste of talent, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Robbie, you had also mentioned earlier about the national youth players that you have in Melbourne City. How many from your age group that you coach are in the national team?
I think now I have 2. And again, I think Melbourne City, because I also have 2 05s that also already play in the under-20s. So they're also in the national team. But 2 that I coach daily.
Nice. Very good.
Robbie, as a new young coach, do you have any advice for other coaches who are thinking of pursuing a career in football?
That's a tough one. Again, I'm also just starting, so I'm not an expert in coaching. Of course, it helps that I played on a high level, but it doesn't mean you're a good coach. But what I can say is, what I see a lot, I like to be a facilitator instead of a dictator, if you want to. And I think that's where a lot of coaches go wrong. They want to, especially at youth level, they want to take away almost the freedom of the players, tell them exactly where they have to be. So there is no creativity, a lot of short-term thinking, like I'm going to just tell them where they have to be because then I get quick results, instead of thinking like I'm going to make sure that they really understand it and they will go where they need to go and they understand why they do it. And then the results come delayed a little bit. That's what I see. Just and promote making mistakes is a good thing. I see a lot of coaches, and I was coached by a lot of coaches that are so focused on almost getting angry at mistakes, and then people just almost get afraid to make mistakes and I think mistakes is an opportunity to learn. If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. You're not, and have fun. That's the biggest one. Just set a culture in your own environment with good values. Build a connection with your players. Also, where a lot of coaches go wrong on every level, even a professional level, they get that wrong a lot. No connection, then it's hard to coach, I think. So I think even though I don't want to give a lot of advice, because what I said, I'm only starting coaching for a couple of years. But that's things I think are very important in the coach.
Yeah. Sure. And in terms of youngsters as well, if you were to have just 1 or 2 points for, let's say, a child who is playing with association teams, something not even akin to MPL, but they really, really, really want to make that break in. Do you have any advice as someone who does work around a lot of talented players, what kids like that could do to get noticed by potentially scouts or other MPL coaches?
That's a good question. First of all, for your own development, again, fun. You have to have fun, keep enjoying it. If you don't enjoy it, you have to find something else.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's a little bit harder to get noticed here instead of in Europe. Every time you play a game, there will be a couple scouts. So if you play on a decent level, you will get noticed. So I'm not sure. It's a little bit harder in Australia, to be honest. But again, I think if you're doing the right things, have fun, control the controllable is a phrase I use a lot with my players.
Yeah.
So just doing the right thing, having the right mindset, the work ethic. What's one thing I really love about Australians, they have that work ethic, generally speaking, and have fun. And then, again, you guys have more knowledge about how you can get maybe noticed at the bigger clubs. So that's maybe something for you guys to explain to those kids.
Yeah, nice. What I want to touch base on is, look, you've played in Europe and you've played, in Australia. You're coaching now in Australia. What's your thoughts on the development system, the football development system in Australia? What do you think are the pros and the cons?
Yeah, we already touched a little bit on the cons with the money the kids have to play.
Yep.
Again, another thing I always hear a lot here is oh yes, there is too much other sports to play here. To be honest, I also think that's an excuse, because if you look in Europe, they go in the opposite way now. They make it less structured. I think even a lot of teams in Europe, Bayern Munich is one of the biggest examples. They stopped the academy till 12 years old. They say just go and play with a local team, have fun, maybe try playing other sports for a year. So I think that's of course it can be a little bit more structured in Australia, maybe with some better coaches instead of some parents. But again, you don't want it to be too structured from an early age, because then you lose all the creativity. So again, I think there are a lot of possibilities, to be honest, with Australia, especially if they can fix that problem with that everybody can play.
See, it's funny, Robbie, that you say that. Even mentioning Bayern Munich, for example, how from the age till 12 years old, they want you to go and have fun till then, and then come back and then look at the football seriously. The parents here in Australia, it's from the get go. As soon as you're 6-7 years old, it's just let's get on the field, and it's just all football, but the kid, probably doesn't enjoy it. And like you said, you got to enjoy it. You got to have fun. You don't want to burn the kid out.
Yeah, I think the big problem is, and I read a lot, and I research a lot, and I think we can almost blame Tiger Woods for this. Because everybody looks at Tiger Woods and they think like, yeah, he became a professional because his dad gave him a putter when he was 7 months old.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, oh, you have to start early. Like, and that's not always true. Like, because, for example, Roger Federer, he played every single sport till he was, I think, 15, 16. But nobody remembers that. Like, so it's almost proven that it's same with the 10 hours rule. Like, that's not true. So more and more teams, even in Europe, recognize that. And even in the Netherlands, they started a couple of years ago with making the youth academies less structured. They call it just play. So they just not so much structure in training. So like a coach telling an 8-year-old, oh, you have to be, when the ball is there, you have to be in this position. No, they just play 7 against 7, 6 against 6, 8 against 7, 9 against 8, like all that kind of stuff, and just play. Yes. And that's how you get the most creative players that think for themselves. So I think that's a good thing. And I think Australia has that. Europe was too structured. Australia is maybe a little bit not structured enough.
Yep.
But again, if you can get it right, I believe in long term Australia can produce a lot of good players.
So what I've learned from this is we need to find the middle. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's all in life. It's all about balance, I think.
That's it.
Yeah, and look at the positives. Like what I said, a lot of people complain, oh, too many sports. And in Europe, I know a lot of academies in the Netherlands, they start doing different sports in the academy. Like they said, oh, instead of Tuesday, we're going on the pitch and play soccer. No, all the talented kids, they go play judo, or they're going to do karate, or all that kind of stuff. So, again, stop complaining and fix the problem.
That's it.
I think that's a very good attitude to have, actually. So I think once people start to think of the positives and work on the negatives, I think we're going to see a lot of development in the country. 100% right.
Yeah, you come back to control the controllables.
Yep.
Yeah. Some stuff you cannot control, so focus on the stuff you maybe can control and try to maximize that. And then, hopefully, we can fix the bigger problems in the long run. I'm always a guy like that. The glass is always half full for me.
Yeah,
it's really a good way of thinking. Like you said, there's things that we can control and there's things that we can't control, and we should just stick to the things that we can control and work with that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Robbie, thank you very much for your time tonight and for chatting to us. Stay safe. And we wish you all the best in your coaching journey. We'd love to have you back on the channel anytime.
Always happy to talk about coaching and learn. I'm looking forward to my second career. Just started, but I think I have the qualities to become a good coach. And the same what I tell my boys. As long as I enjoy it, I will keep doing it, and hopefully one day I can become a really good coach.
We have no doubt in that. We have no doubt in that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Guys, thank you very much again for joining us on another Australian Football Services podcast. If you like this content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, as we'll be featuring more coaches and players on our channel very soon. Until next time, take care and stay safe.